Stop trying to make Rexalate happen. It's not gonna happen. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails, the show where Xaereth sticks up for Rexecute, being by far the most clever and functional term for Rex deleting someone. So, we're doing 3v3 best defensive teams, folks, and I already made the offensive teams video, if I can find this, yes. So, you can find the link to that in the video description, or you can wait to the end of this video to watch it. There's going to be a link on the screen that you can just click on. So lots of amazing options. Let's delete people in 3v3 if we can this season, because deleting people is fun. I've heard. The other thing that's fun is my patrons. You guys aren't just things, but I do appreciate you, every single one of you. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I truly could not do the things I do without you. You guys are amazing, and I truly appreciate every single one of you. And if you want to support this channel for free, folks, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment, mount the algorithm, folks. It's time. It is time to get defensive. The algorithm is already... he already has the defenses placed. It's crazy. I couldn't talk him out of it. So let's go. Let's talk about it, folks. Let's get into the game. Whoa, madness. We're in the game. This is crazy. Okay, so I've started doing this on my main account, guys, because I was doing it on my middle account. Middle account is just a little bit... I mean, it's very similar to this account at this point. And so I decided, instead of just having an awkward, like, it took me like an extra hour or two to record doing it on my middle, because then I had to show like advanced teams on my main. So we're just going to show you on my main account, folks. And then I do have a smaller teams video, or smaller accounts video for my 8 million account coming up the day after this, that I always do just as a labor of love for people at lower GP levels, which I know 8 isn't even that low anymore. But yeah, this is a 13 million account. So the one thing to keep in mind here, folks, is the meta currently is very it's a very loose meta. Hold on, it's very efficiency loose based. I don't know where loose came from, guys. Loose lips sink ships. Don't forget that. But one way or another, This is an efficiency meta, kind of. People are playing it like it is, and so people do a lot. What you'll find is people doing what's called the Ray and Pray, where they just place Ray down and pray that she gets a hold, and then they keep everything else for offense. And it is very frustrating to me to play in that kind of an environment. And so for me, placing the defense that I do is a direct result of me not wanting to mess around with that. If you place enough teams, guys, people say like, oh, well, if you just keep everything for offense, then you can't fail on offense, and then your opponent, you just have to see who's going to score higher. And maybe that's true for some people, but people who place garbage defenses end up getting really, really bad. Like, I ended up getting really good scores on them, and then I haven't had a defense for several seasons now. People are going to take this as a challenge, but I haven't had a defense for several months now that hasn't at least gotten one hold, and most of the time significantly more. And so the goal, of course, is to place as many tough teams and matchups as your opponent can take, and you'll eventually run them out of great options, and then at the very least they'll get really poor banners against you, and hopefully just start hemorrhaging teams. All it takes is one mistake against a stacked defense for your opponent and his offense to become non-viable. And so we're going to be stacking a lot of good teams on defense, hoping that our opponents misstep, and we're going to use a lot of clever teams on offense to offset how few teams we have available to destroy our opponents. So we have Ray here, and I've decided to go away from Holdo on this squad, guys. I do think that Cal Kestis is best, and then, I mean, if you have it, I don't even think I have a Datacron right now that has like the you can't crit Cron, like level 6, but I think that's probably best. Like with the Ray, level 9, but if you can't find that, I mean, it's fine. Getting a bunch of tenacity and stuff is fine, even if the rest of the cron doesn't really make sense because you don't have any resistance on the team. I mean, this is an UFU team, right, instead of a resistance team at this point, and I mean, Rey reviving herself is pretty nice. This is also the best team to combat that annoying Starkiller squad that I use, the Seer Malico Starkiller squad that deletes the most Rey teams. This is the best counter to that. So this is the team I'm going to be going with on defense, at least initially, until something better shows up. We have Lord Vader here, and this is just the old school team, folks. This stops people from using bounty hunters. We're going to have double the health now, and so Maul's going to be doing a lot more damage. And double the health, guys, remember, a lot of what I'm referring to is the new Datacron set, where, here, I guess we can show on this screen here, where the level 3, folks, everyone, here, let's scoot it over. So, at the start of the encounter, dark side, or if maybe it's light side as well, allies gain 15% max health and max protection for each other dark side ally. That happens on light side as well. So there's going to be some good defensive stuff. There's also going to be, for Galactic Republic, there's going to be the one where at the start of each turn, non-galactic legends for Galactic Republic allies take less damage if they have 50% or more turn meter. So Galactic Republic are going to be extraordinarily tanky if they mix those two together, which, you know, that's something we're going to have to see. I'm hoping that takes away from the efficiency meta, frankly, folks, but everyone's going to have quite a few more hit points now, I believe, and but the Maul's going to be doing a lot more damage as well because he does more damage based off of his health. And otherwise, we just want to steal a good team from our opponents. They'll use Jedi Master Luke or something like that. And the idea is Rey, maybe she steals Bane from them. Maybe she loses. Maybe your opponent loses with Starkiller. Who knows? And then Lord Vader will take away all of the off-meta stuff. Maybe they use Bane. Maybe the new Bo-Katan is too much for this squad and beats it. I'm not sure. But, you know, Grand Admiral Thrawn might have the chance of fracturing someone and messing them up. Maul's going to be doing extra damage. And at the very least, if Bo-Katan doesn't work, then hopefully they have to use Jedi Master Luke. Jedi Master Luke probably wants to be used elsewhere as well. But if you can force your opponent to use a good character on what the majority of the people in this game consider to be a scrub team, which it's not, people think it is, then that's kind of a win, I think. Stopping the off meta is key, and so I think Thrawn is going to be helpful there. Okay, so Leia. People tell me Leia's not a good defensive team. I guess in threes, especially the threes version of her didn't really get the memo. She's going to be defending for days, in my opinion. I mean, she's going to also have a ton more hit points, and you know, it's going to be tough to kill her. Oh, unless they use Supreme Leader Kylo, in which case, I mean, hey, you don't have to face Supreme Leader Kylo on defense, and she's stealing a Galactic Legend as well. We're just trying to force them to use their good teams on good teams, so then when it comes to your medium teams, they have to use medium teams as well. And can they beat 15 teams in a row with exact same difficulty? Like, can everyone win 15 in a row? That's a tough ask, guys. I mean, I'm not up to the challenge a lot of times either. It's a very challenging thing in a 3v3 match. If your opponent has loaded their defense a lot. So, okay, we have now we get to the interesting stuff, because you want teams that have a lot of protection up, and you want to abuse them with the Galactic Republic crons. And honestly, I think that it's just the same old Jedi Master Kenobi team, folks. Honestly, you're going to be causing a lot of exposes, or a lot of something. They're not going to do much damage to you. You're going to do much damage to them. It's going to be a mess. I don't think you need Padme for this team. I could be wrong. And what I said in the offensive teams video was, I'm not the sole arbiter of truth. These are all just kind of in theory teams that we don't know how good they're going to do, because the new Datacrons, we haven't seen them in threes, but I do think that Jedi Master Kenobi, there's a chance that we just keep him on offense. I think he's going to be pretty obnoxious on defense, though. And I don't know what people are going to kill him with, frankly. I don't know what I'm going to kill him with. Probably Supreme Leader Kylo, because he's going to be a pain in the hindquarters. Maybe Jabba as well. I'm not sure which. I mean, Jabba is the one that I'm not sure about on offense or defense. I did have him on my 3v3 offense list as well, because if Night Sisters are consistently killing him, that's a problem. If there's a ton of hit points for your team, though, and Night Sisters are suddenly struggling because everyone is so thick, that might be a pretty nice boost for Jabba. Not really sure how it's going to go in threes. It is an issue that we're going to have to evaluate once we get to it, because the only way it works is the Marin Omicron, and we can't test Omicrons until you get to GAC and see how the new mod set, or the new cron set, ends up working. So, yeah, this could easily be on defense. If Night Sisters are easily destroying it, then probably keep it for offense, because Night Sisters are an unacceptable team to allow your opponents to delete on defense. Unless it's a risk. If it's like a 50-50 chance, a lot of times I'll take it, because that could derail their offense quite a bit if that's their only Jabba plan, and then they lose. I've won a few matches that way, in fact. Okay, so we still have the Kelleran Beck cron. I know that we have some really nice Galactic Republic crons that we want to use, but I think the Kelleran Beck cron still beckons for us. I think that this team is still going to delete people. This is the best version of the Kelleran Beck team. I know last season I said that we should do snips here instead, but this is another instance of me not being the sole arbiter of truth, except for right this moment, because now we have Ki-Adi-Mundi here, who is apparently significantly much stronger than Ahsoka Tano. Snip still got a lot of holds for people last season, but I think Ki-Adi-Mundi ended up edging her out just a little bit. So in response, then we can still have, if you have Kit Fisto's cron, then awesome, you could use that with Qui-Gon. I got a couple holds with this team last season. If you don't have Fisto, you could throw Ahsoka down here, and then you have a Galactic Republic team that has a few different instances of protection up, in which case you can kind of mess with your opponent and keep your Qui-Gon Jinn team. Either you could do the protection up level 6, or just keep them from dying, because they have a ton of turn meter most times, so they're not going to take as much damage, and Anakin is just going to take it out on your opponents. I think this team is going to end up having an additional 2 more months of life, even after the Kit Fisto cron is gone. You take him out and just put whatever other Jedi with Qui-Gon, and it's a tough team to beat, because they take a significantly less amount of damage, not to mention being way thicker. So, I'm almost talking myself out of using the Kit Fisto cron, to be honest, but I think initially I don't have enough crons anyways for week 1, so that's what you'll see initially is the Fisto cron. Alright, I think the best version of Inquisition is going to be Reva. There's going to do a lot of really crazy stuff. Maybe it ends up being on offense if there's something that easily counters it, but this team does seem fairly obnoxious on defense. Maybe it just gets killed by Malgus and everyone just keeps Malgus to kill it. We're not sure, but we're trying to overload our opponents with teams that are either going to pose significant issues, or teams that just outright beat them, or require a team that is really good. Like, I have no doubt that Bane is going to be able to kill this team, but Bane is only going to be able to kill one of Leia, Rey, Inquisition, Lord Vader, etc. So, if they don't have Bane available, who are they going to use? If Edrad kills it, then we're going to have to yank it from defense. Of course, let's see, so the Commander Luke team, typically I don't put it on defense because the Trooper team just eats it alive, the Imperial Troopers, but with the extra hit points that you're getting from Luke, I think the Imperial Trooper squad is going to be pretty significantly challenged to beat this team when it has a bunch of extra hit points. So we'll just have to see. Are the extra hit points outweighed by the massive amounts of armor penetration that you can get from this cron set? It remains to be seen, but I do think this team could potentially cost somewhat. I mean, it also depends if you're going to scout your opponent. If they keep Iden probably still deletes this team, frankly, unless you have him modded really well, which I mean, I guess mine is. I still lose with them. So, all right, Gungans. Who frickin' knows, man? I mean, Tarpals could be here as the 5th as well. If you have Gungans, obviously, if you don't have Jar Jar, you could still have a decent team. But remember, Jar Jar and failing. So you need the one leadership character because old Jar is not a leader, obviously. Even though he screwed the rest of the Republic over by voting emergency powers to the Chancellor. But one way or another, we have Phalanx and Boombadir who are in contention. I tend to think Phalanx is going to get the vote in terms of he just seems like he's the one who stops people from I forget now. One of them stops people from hitting under protection between him and Jar Jar, and one of them stops people from having the protection suppression. And so it seems like all the shenanigans that you would normally have to mess with Gungans are going to be stopped by those two. That being said, I don't know if we have enough offense at that point. Is Jar Jar's shenanigans enough to actually delete opponents? I'm not sure. With the Kron that Boss Nass has, I mean, we're probably just gonna not be killable, is my guess. In 3s, I think this is going to be a very challenging team to beat on defense. And I think initially, my initial thoughts are we're going to use the 3 that start here. Maybe Boombadir ends up here. Maybe Tarpals. Tarpals has an interesting Kron that we can use elsewhere, though, as you'll see. Okay, so Afra, I think we're putting him on defense this time. I haven't done that for a while, but she does very little in 3s anyways. And if you put L3 here instead of 000, which it goes against the thick Kron, right? So the level 3 for the new Datacron set, but it does give you a pre-taunt so that your BT1 can just go absolutely haywire. And does it have an ability called Haywire? No, I think that's Chopper or something. But one way or another, this team can be really thick. With the new thick Kron, you might not even need that pre-taunt, but kind of nice to just have a pre-taunt and have BT1 go crazy. Is it a world beater? Not necessarily, but if people don't know what they're dealing with, putting L3 as another tank is really going to mess with people. Honestly, it really can. You do need the new Kron set, of course. Trench, people tell me that Trench is horrible and his Datacron is horrible, and so I guess let's see if he's horrible this season, but we're going to put him down. Probably use Watt here, and it'll be fun. For my opponents, you're welcome. You get a gifted squad, or you get some nasty losses because you underestimated it. We'll see. So we have the triple Rex team, which is like the Rex plus Rex people, and this team is so back, folks. The Galactic Republic, I mean, Rex himself does not have the Galactic Republic tag, but the other two do, and it's going to be very challenging to kill all of them with the additional 75% damage reduction on those two, and along with a ton more health and protection. So this team, you really want the new Kron set for them. If you don't, they're going to struggle, but this team, it slowly Rexecutes people to death, folks. Rexecute. Rex-late is for the weak. So we have the Finn Zori squad, and is it going to be Finn Holdo Zori this time? I'm not sure. I do like her Kron here, and there's not going to be Doubt Night Sisters to kill this team every single time, and so I'm curious to see what ends up rising to the surface. I'll probably start with the Holdo Kron, frankly, but I do like Finn Zori with the Finn Kron as well in 3s. I just think that that's probably a little easier to beat. I think Holdo keeps generating so much foresight and everything. I think it just makes a lot of the typical counters for this team really struggle. So we'll start with Holdo. If that doesn't work, we'll swap in for a pretty quick resistance hero, Finn. So we'll see. As per usual, we have Tuskens. The best Tusken Omicron, of course, is the Tusken Raider one. If you want to put one on the Tusken Chieftain and put it on Sign of Jango in the team, I guess feel free. I think that one has some good shock value to it because people are like, man, I'm not used to seeing this. At this point, we've kind of normalized seeing the Tusken Raider Kron, but having them with all those extra health and protection, it may end up really messing with people. Of course, if people just use like Traya as usual, then they're not going to do, I mean, they're going to do about as well as normal. But yeah, extra hit points probably doesn't hurt the Tuskens. We have a team that I'm not really that sold on. I don't have the BB-8 Kron, but I've seen a few people get some holds with this. This is more of just a filler squad, to be honest, folks. Rey with Rose and BB-8. They are a little faster than I gave them credit for. I faced it one time, and I think I dropped a few banners. It's nothing too crazy to plan around, but it is a good filler team if you really want to get the most out of your extreme efficiency plan. You can do that, guys. I won't judge you out loud. So we have Iden and... honestly, folks, at this point, probably Adrad is going to kill something dear to you. However, with the thick Kron, we have this opportunity to make this team pretty tough to take out. And the Adrad team is all special damage for the most part. And so the armor pen that you can get on the stats from the Krons is not going to help that much. They don't have ramping damage from Jin. And if you have high enough relics and high enough defense and protection and all of that stuff on your Stormtrooper and your Shore Trooper, then, I mean, I have Relic 8 on both of them. You can't even see their mods, but they are going to be a challenge to beat, I think, even with Adrad. Even if they don't use Adrad, then I don't really know what people are using. Like Wampa, I think this is a death trap for Wampa. I think he just times out, is what I think. So we'll have to see about that. I referenced this. I mentioned it in my other video, my offense video. Palp and Mara with Savage. Who knows, man? They're going to have double health and protection. Well, maybe not double, 50% more, though. And Savage does help keep at least Palpatine alive, you know, and probably just because there's another Sith there, he's going to operate well and help Mara Jade as well. And honestly, if you ever face a Starkiller squad, I mean, I used to use Bounty Hunters before people start making really fast Mara Jades way back when Starkiller first came out. I used to use Bounty Hunters to counter the Starkiller squad, and the mistake that I made a few times was you don't want to snipe Starkiller first. This isn't 5v5, mind you. You don't want to snipe Starkiller first. Yes, it kills the whole team eventually, but eventually Emperor Palpatine and Mara Jade just run the table on you. Mara Jade under Palp's leadership just does some really cruel, awful things, and so if you can get them off, like keep them protected by Savage just long enough to get Mara going, then this team can be a pretty big pain, especially if they have all those extra health and protection on them. As always, guys, we'll have to see how that team does. Okay, Saw, I know people have said he's lost a lot of teeth without the Chirrut Kron, and that's absolutely true. I'm very curious to see how he ends up doing, because people have called me very foolish for saying that Saw is actually a good team on defense without some kind of a really good Kron. They do have a thick Kron now, but that's a Kron everyone has. It's not a Saw specific one, so I'm very curious to see how this does. Cara Dune and Kyle Katarn, probably, I mean, if you can get, I mean, Baze is probably a little better, Captain Rex is a little better, but those guys are on other teams. Kyle and Cara, though, they do pretty well on this squad, and I think I'll probably end up putting them on defense, frankly. We'll see. They're only Relic 7 at this point. A lot of the people I'm facing have full Relegate rosters, so it feels bad. But it is what it is. So this is, now we're to like the filler and experimental stuff. Tarples has a datacron that says whenever someone does something on his team, he assists. And his basic is pretty interesting. It does stuff like shock the enemy team, and if they have any debuff or any buffs, you can dispel them, and you deal damage in additional time. And so, you know, he does some interesting stuff. You guys can read it here, and a lot of people have a relic Tarples, so I figured maybe he has some okay synergy. Like IG-11 doesn't dispel him or anything, but there's also someone like Queel already does shock, and So it seems like maybe with the pre-taunt intact with these two and all of the turn meter stuff and all the shenanigans those two get up to, maybe Tarples, who is not a leader but is going to be assisting quite a bit, and they all have the thick cron helping them because they're all light side. This team might be able to do some stuff. Not to mention, you do a lot of debuffs with IG-11 and Kuil, and Tarples does some interesting stuff regarding that. He gains turn meter based off of debuffs that happen to opponents, etc. So, experimental at best, absolutely true, but this is something I want to see how it goes on defense. Probably doesn't end up going anywhere. We have the Pets team that's filler. You could throw in Mission instead of Smuggler, or just do what you want, guys. If you're putting this team down, it means you really are out of options for defense. You have a pretty small account, probably. And then we have Geos. A lot of people have Relic Geos at this point, so and you can still have a good Geo Cron with Spy. It's okay. It's not great. It's better in Territory Wars, I guess. And then you have the Murder Bears, the Cannibals, the guys who eat other sentient beings, but probably the best version is going to be Nisa and Paplu. If you make Paplu really fast, then any of the Omicron on Chirpa, which I do not, then good things may happen. So what teams are you placing on defense, folks? I would love to hear that. Honestly, as you can see, there's a lot of things that I am pretty sure on and a lot of things that I am questioning in a big way. So I would love to hear that, guys. We'll all figure it out together, and we'll have follow-up videos in the coming weeks. Come watch me on Twitch as well, folks. It's in the video description. It's free. It's fun to just come out, hang out a little bit, just chill, watch me make a fool of myself in GAC. So, would love to see you guys out there. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.